Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 1 Samuel, the 7th chapter, Deliverance from the Philistines. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came. Now, remembering where we left off in the 6th chapter, as the men of Beth Shemesh had been judged. The Lord had slain of them, was it over 50,000 for looking into the ark. They called for them, those of Kirjath Jearim, to come and fetch the ark. So, here as we're reading, the men of Kirjath Jearim they came, and fetched up the ark of the Lord Yahweh, and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. So Eleazar was basically in charge of it, you could say. In verse 2, and it came to pass while the ark abode in Kirjath Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord Yahweh. And looking at the events that transpired, even leading up to this, right? Them going to war against the Philistines, and then losing, and then also losing the ark, and then the priests dying. So from that time up until now, you can imagine Israel having felt like the presence of the Lord wasn't with them as it was before. Hence they lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord Yahweh with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord. So if indeed you are sincerely trying to serve the Lord, get rid of all those idols. Okay, and set your mind ready to serve the Lord and only the Lord Yahweh, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Because remember, they were basically like the definition of a thorn in our side. Then the children of Israel put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and served the Lord Yahweh only. All right, so all their idols that they had made, and they basically got rid of all of that and served the Lord. And Samuel said, Gather all to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord Yahweh. And they gathered together to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord Yahweh, and fasted on that day. Now, the act of drawing water, like fetching water and pouring it out, isn't, there isn't like a Levitical ordinance that says that per se, right? But it seems that it was a part of the ceremony or the ritual here of showing themselves to basically dedicate their minds or their will to serve the Lord. It could symbolize like basically being cleansed, right, or being pure, or being washed by that of water. But you could look at it as part of the act to show the Lord, as they complemented it with fasting that day, to basically show their dedication to the Lord. And fasted on that day, and said there, We have sinned against the Lord Yahweh. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And because Samuel at this point was now, like, he played the role of like a judge. So he was like the overseer of Israel there, instructing them in what they should do and so on, as we'll see more of as we read on down. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. Once again, they were that thorn. So when they heard that, they're all gathered in one place. Yeah, they're vulnerable. Let's go ahead and attack them. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. So they feared that, Lord, these past 20 years, they've been they've had us in a strength, under their foot, and now they're about to attack us here in Mizpah as we're fasting on to you. So they were afraid. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, cease not to cry unto the Lord Yahweh our God for us, for he will save us, or that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. So please, cry unto the Lord, because if not, we're about to be doomed. And Samuel took a sucking lamb, that's a young lamb still breastfeeding or sucking, you get it, and offered it for a burnt offering holy unto the Lord Yahweh. And Samuel cried unto the Lord God of Israel, and the Lord heard him. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. So they came with their troops, their soldiers, they were ready. But the Lord Yahweh thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines and discomfited them. So you can imagine, quite literally, it might have been a very, very loud thundering, to where the Philistines got they were basically shook up and being discomfited. They were confused, and basically the Lord weakened their hand so that they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and smote them until they came under Beth-kar. So now the Philistines came there, they got the work over there, and then Israel chased them and continued smiting them all the way down to Beth-kar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shen, the two cities, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, hitherto hath the Lord Yahweh helped us. And we go into that word, see what we have for that in the Hebrew. It says here, Aban Ha'itazar, or Ha'izar. And I believe Izar is help. So as it says, stone of help. So Aban, I believe, would be stone. All right. So continuing in verse 13. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. So they stayed there as in their lane. And the hand of the Lord Yahweh was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And so all the days of Samuel, the Lord gave us the upper hand over them. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron even unto Gath. And the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Now remember that the Philistines, they weren't native to the land of Canaan, right? They migrated there. And so there was always this back and forth, territorial wise and so on. and it was also similar on the east of Jordan, right, with the Ammonites and the Moabites, but they were obviously native to the land. But there are times when some of our cities would be taken by them and vice versa. So here you can see Ekron and Gath. So there are periods of time when this would be under the control of Israel, and periods of time when it would be taken by the Philistines. But along with us and the Philistines in the land, you had the Amorites, which were Canaanites that were in the land prior to us coming in the land and driving them out, though Israel didn't drive all of them out of the land. But nevertheless, the Lord gave us the upper hand over the Philistines, and we had peace with the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all those places. And the circuit meaning he went from one place to another, and they were likely located in like almost like you go from one city to the other. It's like a circuit, right? That's what it is. So you can imagine maybe a good visual would be you have, let's just say you have like different stations that are all like next to each other, A circuit would be you go from station 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 back to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 back to, that's like a circuit. But here it's just emphasizing that he went from one city to the next, judging Israel in those places. So you can imagine that he would go there, he would hear out the matters, you know, certain matters of the city, whether they wanted to inquire of the Lord of something, or, you know, certain cases that were too hard for them, you know, he would basically give, whether it's counsel or sacrifice or whatever was needed, to resolve that. So that's the role of the judge that he played. Verse 17, and his return was to Ramah, for there was his house, and there he judged Israel. So even at Ramah, he also judged Israel there as well. And there he built an altar unto the Lord Yahweh. And that is the end of the book of 1 Samuel, 7th chapter. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.